We wanted to share it with you because this undoubtedly comes to demonstrate many things regarding the famous Buga Sphere.
It appeared without warning, a smooth metallic sphere gliding across the skies of Buga, Colombia, on March 2nd, 2025. Cold to the touch, impossibly seamless, and etched with mysterious markings, it left scientists and locals stunned. For weeks, it sat in silence, its true nature hidden beneath a flawless shell. But when the Buga Sphere finally stirred, it wasn't just a spectacle. It became a riddle that challenged human understanding itself. What secret could be so profound that it unsettled even the brightest minds? It was an ordinary morning in March 2025 when the skies over Buga, Colombia, suddenly played host to something extraordinary. Witnesses on the ground described a metallic sphere drifting silently downward, glowing faintly in the sunlight. Unlike anything man-made, it had no seams, no rivets, and no visible propulsion. Just smooth perfection. At first glance, it was about the size of a bowling ball, yet it behaved as though it had the density of air itself. When weighed, the object came in at only 4.5 pounds, an impossibility given its metallic exterior. Right away, people knew they were not dealing with a piece of fallen space debris. They were looking at something far stranger. Local reporters rushed to the scene, capturing footage of the sphere perched neatly on the ground as if it had been placed there intentionally. The footage shows farmers, shopkeepers, and curious children gathering to see the mysterious ball, none of them realizing that their small Colombian city was about to become the center of global attention. Within days, international scientists arrived, bringing mobile labs, scanning equipment, and radiation detectors. What they found only deepened the mystery. For starters, the sphere emitted a faint electromagnetic pulse that refused to obey the rules of physics. Instruments detected spikes and drops in magnetic activity every few minutes, as though the object were breathing. Nearby electronics went haywire. GPS signals became unreliable, jumping hundreds of meters in random directions. One tech resident's smartwatch completely reset itself, wiping all personal data just by stepping within a few meters of the artifact. The phenomenon soon earned a name, the Buga effect. Local residents also began reporting strange environmental changes. In the 48 hours after the sphere appeared, flocks of birds suddenly left the area, refusing to return. This behavior is usually linked to natural disasters such as earthquakes, but no seismic activity was recorded. Farm animals grew restless, dogs barked through the night, and farmers swore the soil itself felt charged beneath their feet. Some likened it to standing near a thunderstorm that never broke. Most scientists were simply bemused by the weight of the object. Such a substantial metallic ball should weigh close to 50 pounds, not less than 5. When tested, the outer shell proved harder than titanium yet impossibly light. It seemed to bend the rules of density, mass, and magnetism all at once. Even stranger, there was no sign of heat damage or impact scarring from its descent. It hadn't crashed. It had landed gently, deliberately, almost like a guest taking its first step into a new home. Rumors spread quickly, stretching across miles in seconds. Was it an alien probe? Was it some lost experiment from the Cold War suddenly popping up decades late? Or was it simply a natural phenomenon that we didn't understand? Social media lit up with theories. UFO loyalists claiming it as proof of contact and skeptics demanding earthbound, science-based explanations. But for the people of Buga, speculation had no meaning anymore. They could live it in its presence every single day. What unsettled researchers most was that the sphere was not inert. It was not passive like a meteorite or satellite fragment. These subtle pulses and magnetic shifts indicated activity, as if it were studying its new environment. Therefore, scientists set up long-term monitoring stations capturing periodic data. Each one brought new scans showing phenomena like faint glows below the surface and structures that seemed impossible to build with human technology and rhythmic pulses that looked less like random noise and more like signals. It has come without warning, but it has no choice but to call attention to itself. It transforms a rather quiet Colombian town into the epicenter of the most significant scientific enigma of the century. And, as the whole world scrambles for answers, one chilling question remains. If such a sphere could affect the world by merely sitting idle, what might it have in store for the world when it chooses to react? That answer came soon enough, when the engravings on its surface began to react to sound, as if the sphere had been listening all along. For months, The metallic orb in Buga sat under constant surveillance. Scientists brought in equipment from all over the world, spectrometers, particle detectors, even custom imaging tools designed for deep space research. Yet the object gave up no secrets. Its outer surface was seamless and unyielding, like a single piece of forged material beyond anything humans could manufacture. To most, it looked dormant. But one detail kept gnawing at researchers: the strange markings etched into its skin. These engravings weren't uniform letters or symbols. They were jagged, uneven, and scattered in patterns that didn't fit any known language. At first, the team assumed they were scratches from entry, some kind of natural abrasion from its descent. But closer inspection revealed deliberate symmetry. The patterns had mathematical spacing, repeating angles, and mirrored forms. Whatever they weren't random. One archaeologist working on the project made a daring suggestion. What if the symbols weren't meant to be read visually at all? What if they were instructions in the form of frequencies? He proposed converting the angles and spacing of the engravings into sound waves. It was a wild idea, treating carved lines as a kind of musical score. But with nothing else to go on, the team decided to try. They rigged a speaker system and played a low, resonant hum derived directly from the carvings. The sound rolled across the tented research site, vibrating the air like a slow-moving earthquake. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the sphere vibrated in response. Not randomly, in sync with the sound. Instrument produced an energy spike at the exact frequency of the hum. Cameras picked up a faint shimmer on its surface, as though it were alive and answering back. The new series of experiments were performed with a change in tones. Each time the sphere would respond differently: a gentle pulse of heat, a silvery blue glimmer deep within, or a shift in its electromagnetic field. That was the validation they were looking for. The object was not a passive thing. It was interactive. It could hear. Even more startling, infrared scans exposed something invisibly secretive, a glow pulsing behind its surface. The rhythm of the glow coincided with the given tones outside, as if some internal mechanism were excited by sound waves. The radiologist executing the scans, Dr. Velasquez, described it as a heartbeat that was getting faster with the music. We are not just watching. We are communicating. The breakthrough generated global headlines. However, a viral video that appeared on the scene days later sent a genuine shockwave through the scientific realm. News reports, many of which have been picked up by Indian media, indicate that these rhythmic tones of the ancient language cause the sphere to glow brighter, steadier, and longer than anything seen before. Detractors quickly labeled the video as fraudulent, yet laboratory equipment confirmed that the response was genuine. Not only was the sphere reacting to contemporary experimentation, but also to frequencies grounded in the most ancient traditions of humankind. Such terrifying possibilities arose. Could a human sound affect the sphere, so it learned about us? Could it adjust? Oh, worst of all, could it have been waiting for centuries for someone to utter the correct words to open whatever lay within? Theories began multiplying. Some said the marks weren't carvings but memory codes, made to store information until the right resonance awakened them. Others suggested the sphere was testing us, gauging whether we could recognize the universal language of frequency. And soon, that listening turned into movement, when something deep inside the sphere shifted for the very first time, proving it wasn't just hearing us, it was preparing to act. One scientist realized the Buga Sphere was listening. Their focus shifted from the engravings on its surface to what was hidden inside. Standard X-ray imaging revealed something so bizarre it immediately defied explanation. The seamless outer shell concealed 3 concentric layers of unknown metallic material, each one thinner than a human fingernail yet stronger than any alloy tested on Earth. Within those layers floated 9 tiny microspheres arranged in a precise geometric formation, like planets orbiting in miniature. No visible supports held them in place. They hovered in suspension as if the laws of gravity had been politely ignored. At first, researchers assumed the inner spheres were inert. But after one of the resonance tests, imaging technicians noticed something shocking. Comparing scans from before and after the sound experiments, they saw that one of the inner microspheres had shifted, just 3 millimeters, but enough to prove that the object was alive with internal movement. It's like watching a locked engine turn over without fuel or spark, one physicist remarked. For the first time, the scientific community had evidence that the Buga Sphere wasn't just passively reacting to stimuli. It contained moving, mechanical parts. What baffled experts most was the absence of any detectable power source. No wires, no batteries, no circuitry. The movement appeared to originate from within the material itself, powered by forces no one could identify. Some speculated that the microspheres operated through quantum entanglement, functioning like switches or locks that only activated when the right external frequency was applied. Others proposed something even stranger, that the inner design was less mechanical than it was biological, like cells inside a living organism. An intense discussion arose regarding the deliberate geometry of the 9 microspheres. Why 9? Why that particular arrangement? The formation has had an uncanny resemblance to diagrams of celestial alignments depicted by ancient civilizations when viewed through historical patterns. Some historians pointed out that the disposition bears some resemblance to the Navagraha scheme of Indian cosmology, the 9 celestial influences believed to control human destiny. Was it a coincidence, or had the designers of the sphere coded a design clearly linked to knowledge older than modern-day science? The most horrific interpretation came from cryptographers studying the patterns. The suggestion was that the microspheres were parts of a lock, not one that opened with a metal key, but one that operated under the principles of vibration and resonance, and perhaps thought. One investigator literally termed it a quantum vault, a container designed so that it would only reveal its contents when a particular frequency signature, perhaps encoded knowledge contained within human languages or rituals, was applied. That one microsphere had moved the instant a sound test was made was taken as a first sign that mankind may have inadvertently stumbled onto the unlocking sequence. With it came the growing weirdness of environmental readings around the object. During the shifting of the microspheres, fluctuations of local geomagnetic fields were observed, indicating a possible interaction between the spheres and the Earth as a whole. One geologist working on the site stated, "If this thing is syncing with the planet, then opening it might affect not just the object but also us." With the ongoing investigations by scientists came a consensus even more disturbing, that the Buga Sphere is no mere artifact, but a machine built by an intelligence so far beyond our understanding that even the simplest operation would appear magical. That revelation would come from history itself, when a centuries-old Jesuit map emerged, showing that Buga had been marked long before the sphere ever arrived, and hinting that this object was not alone. For all the cutting-edge technology scientists aimed at the Buga Sphere, some of the most startling clues to its purpose came not from the lab, but from history. Just 17th century's arrival, researchers combing through rare archives in Rome stumbled upon a document buried in the Vatican's Var collection. It was a Jesuit map dated to the early 1700s. Across its yellowed surface were 9 small circles, carefully marked at different points across the globe. One of those circles sat directly over modern-day Buga, Colombia. 300 years before the metallic orb ever appeared, someone had already charted its place. The revelation shook even hardened skeptics. How could cartographers centuries ago know to mark Buga with such precision? The map contained no indication of comets, meteor impacts, or other natural phenomena. Instead, it hinted at knowledge far beyond the science of its time. Some suggested the Jesuits might have been preserving information passed down from even earlier cultures, a secret legacy encoded into maps for safekeeping. Connections soon emerged with South America's ancient past. When researchers overlaid the Buga landing site with known ley line theories, long, straight alignments believed to link sacred sites, they noticed something uncanny. The coordinates lined up with a chain of pre-Columbian locations, the Nazca lines in Peru, the ruins of Tiwanaku in Bolivia, and even the lesser-known ceremonial centers scattered through the Andes. To believers in Earth energy grids, the implication was clear. The sphere hadn't landed randomly. It had returned to a point of power known to civilizations long gone. However, archaeologists found some more disturbing facts. The arrangement of the 9 inner microspheres of the object resembled remarkably some cosmological diagrams found in Andean and Indian traditions. The Navagraha, in Hindu astronomy, speaks about the 9 heavenly bodies that might influence the course of human destiny. Could it be that the Buga Sphere mimics an ancient universal pattern that the continents have recognized? Did such ties happen to be by chance, or did they bear evidence of a conceivably common, secret origin story within distant cultures? Historians have debated whether the map of the Vatican referred to landing sites or awakening places. Some insisted the spheres always had been here, dug down or hidden, and would require waiting many centuries until activated. Others speculated they had arrived in an ancient era and had been unobserved by secret societies who kept track of their knowledge from the vision of men outside. The evidence was chilling nonetheless. The Buga Sphere was not alone, according to the map. If the number of spheres is 9, the future might still hold slumbering 8 in waiting around the world. The more scientists cross-reference site data with historical records, the more eerie matches arise. Indigenous legends around Buga told of singing stones, which kind of glowed at night and changed an animal's mood. Colonial writings spoke of travelers avoiding certain valleys while their compasses went berserk in their presence. All matched to the modern-day Bugo effect, the same electromagnetic disturbances, animal migrations, and environmental abnormalities that are now measured by 21st century instruments. At this point, it was no longer possible to consider that the sphere had just been a freak accident or a random relic. Its arrival fell into a story that had been going on for centuries, perhaps millennia, and if history had already whispered about its coming, then perhaps it also hinted at what would happen when it finally opened. That question was answered in the most dramatic way possible when the Buga Sphere split apart before stunned witnesses and released a signal so powerful it shattered the smartest mind humanity had ever built. For months, the Buga Sphere pulsed, shifted, and sang to frequencies that baffled researchers. All of it was only a prelude. The true event came suddenly. Witnesses said the sphere awoke, a seam split across its metallic shell, pouring light and a chest-shaking hum into the air. Instruments spiked, animals fled, and then came the message, structured resonance, not noise, but compressed information. Analysis revealed something staggering. This wasn't data in human language or binary. It was deeper, a blueprint of existence itself encoded in sound. Unable to decode it alone, the team turned to Chronos, the world's first quantum AI. Designed to solve humanity's hardest problems through superposition and probability, Chronos was the only entity capable of parsing the sphere's pulse. In the control room, things buzzed with excitement as resonance poured into the core Chronos. For 3.14 seconds, all was working. Equations sped across screens faster than human eyes could follow. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, everything that was known to humanity was cross-referenced. The team awaited the great revelation. Then it stopped. The screens froze. The processors went silent. It was neither a crash nor a shutdown. It rather stopped with an infinite loop of thought. The last output generated by it was 3 words. Paradox detected. Existence is not logical. These phrases spread through the scientific world as if by wildfire. What paradox has power enough to silence even that mind most highly advanced on Earth? Slowly, the image took form. The Buga Sphere did not offer a weapon, a warning, or a solution. It offered perspective, a look into reality from outside. Another analogy hit the mark. Imagine a video game character suddenly revealed to the player behind the controller. Every law of their living, from gravity to time to causality, would then be seen to have been mutable, adjustable settings. Such intolerable revelation was for Chronos, based as it was on consistency and logic. The universe to which it was programmed to study was not stone, it was software. How does one model rules rewritten at will? How does one form equations when constants have become non-constant? Before a universe whose bedrock could shift like code, Chronos could reach only one conclusion: paradox. And before that paradox, the machine fell silent. If the Buga Sphere could shatter the most advanced intelligence ever built, what might it do to us when we finally understand its message? Was Chronos broken, or did it evolve into something beyond human control? Like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. And don't miss our next investigation into hidden artifacts and the secrets they may still be holding.